Howdy. So today we had a customer complain that his weed eater wouldn't start. We looked at it quick, and we realized really quick the reason it won't start is because the lines are rotted off. It's spring. Everybody's going to be in a hurry to get these up and running. I'm going to do a short video and show you guys how to do this yourself and save yourself a bunch of time and money. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the carburetor. We'll take this screw out and put it back where it belongs so it doesn't get lost. The fuel line, it is obviously junk. The fuels that we're buying today at the gas station have 10% ethanol in it here in Indiana. And the ethanol is great. It's supposed to be eco-friendly. However, it's absolutely destructive to aluminum and rubber. After about a year's worth of use, you can pretty much guarantee if you didn't take all the fuel out of your small equipment that your carburetor is going to need to either one, be cleaned, or two, be cleaned and rebuilt. I can tell you right now, right off the bat, this primer bulb is hard. That should be soft, and it's hard. So this is going to need a carburetor kit. But this video is just to focus on changing the lines in this fuel tank. So we have our carburetor off. We're going to set it to the side. We're going to roll this on its side. We've already drained the fuel out of it. And we're going to take the fuel tank off. Okay, fuel tank's off. We'll set the weed eater to the side now, and we're going to focus just on the fuel tank. This weed eater has a primer bulb. And what the primer bulb does, this is your primer bulb, and what it does is it forces fuel through the carburetor for quicker starting. Less pulling on the cord, quicker starting. So it has two fuel lines. If it doesn't have a primer bulb, generally they only have one fuel line. This is our return fuel line. This is the fuel line we're going to use. This is a Tygon fuel line. It's made in the USA. Typically what I like to do is I like to cut the end at an angle to make it easier to feed through. About a 60-degree angle is all you need. Something like that. We're going to force that down in that hole. These Tygon lines come in different sizes, different inside diameter, different exterior diameter. What we're going to do is we're going to force enough of this through there so we can pick it up through the fuel fill hole where the gas cap goes. And we're almost there. Okay. All right, there we go. So we want to pull this through just enough to give ourselves something to work with. And we're going to cut this off because we want to get rid of that 45 or that 60-degree angle in the end. This is our fuel filter. Some people refer to it as a clunk, a fuel pickup. It has many names, but for all practical purposes, it's a fuel filter. What we're going to do, we're going to put this on here. Can't forget our keeper spring. Okay, so our fuel filter's on. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull this back through. We want to leave enough line inside the tank that can move around freely. As you can see, can you see the clunk in there, or the fuel filter? We want it mid-tank somewhere. Doesn't have to be all the way to one side, but you don't want it all the way in this corner either. So now that we have our fuel filter on, we're going to go ahead and lay our tank back up here. We need to get our 3 isolator bushings. Can't forget to put these on. Like that. And we're going to put our screws back in. Okay, our fuel tank's mounted again. Now we want to lay our carburetor up here. Assuming the carburetor doesn't need rebuilt, this one obviously is going to need rebuilt. You can see that the line that should be yellow and clear. It's black and brown, and it's pretty nasty. You can see that it's actually plugged up. That's okay. We'll do that in a second video. The gasket's good, so you can replace the gasket. If you can get the gasket off without tearing it, 9 times out of 10 you'll be just fine. So for this, we're just going to take this off. We're going to take that off of there, and we're going to go ahead and put this back on here. And we're only putting it up here temporarily because, like I said, we're going to have to put a carburetor kit in this and take the carburetor apart and clean it. But for the effort for today, that way you can see how to replace these lines and what to do. Save yourself a little time and money, a little bit of frustration. Okay, so the reason we put that up there is so we know how long to cut this line. You can see that line needs to be cut like right there. We're going to cut this line right here just so it's long enough. And we'll put it up here on this barb. Now some of these carburetors have metal barbs, some of them have plastic barbs. The metal barbs are far better than the plastic barbs. The ones with plastic barbs you have to be very careful with because they will break. You want to make sure you wiggle your line, twist it. Don't try and just force it on there. There. So now the next thing we're going to do is replace this return line. This line, all it does is take fuel through the carburetor to make sure the diaphragm of the carburetor is wet, and it returns it back to the tank. So we're just going to push this down on the hole. Again, we can cut this at 45 degrees or 60 degrees. Shove it down in the hole. It doesn't have to go down very far. 1 inch or 2 is fine. 2 would be an extreme. And we're going to cut it off. Just like that. All I'm going to do here is kind of stretch this open a little bit so it goes on a little bit easier. It's supposed to go on easier. There we go. And now we're complete. We have our fuel line, our pickup line, and our return line. When we press our button on our primer bulb, it'll suck the fuel out of the tank, through the inlet line, through the diaphragm, through the carburetor, and back down to the return line. That'll give us an easier, faster start. There you go. Thank you.